In last week's video, I talked about Spotify's Marquee advertising program. In that video, I shared some results from different campaigns I ran, and if you want to check that out, I've left a link for it up here. I finished that video by asking, why does Marquee cost so much? And how come other services like Apple and Amazon aren't doing the same thing? How much does Spotify Marquee cost? You have to spend a minimum of $250 per campaign. I've only analyzed the results from campaigns that cost between $250 and $750, and I didn't see any correlation between the amount spent and performance. To find the true cost of Spotify Marquee, I took 5 campaigns, analyzed the results, and came up with the averages from each of those. If you want to see the individual breakdown, you can look at last week's video, but here's a summary of my results. Okay, average results from 5 Marquee campaigns. The spends were between $250 and $750. Now, I make no guarantees that you'll get the same results. Every track is different, and you might be targeting a different segment of your audience. But this is the best I could manage in the short time the program's been available. Now, this first one, cost per thousand impressions, CPM, it stands out like a sore thumb. $80 to $150 CPM, and the average is $115. I know that's going to send some of you running right now, but let's continue down the list. Next is the cost per click, CPC. It's between 38 cents and 50 cents per click, an average of 45 cents a click. Now, that's not awful compared to other popular forms of advertising, but it's still on the high side. After reviewing all of these analytics, cost per click really stood out. I think the program has been engineered around cost per click and maybe converted listeners. If you look, the prices are the same, 45 cents for a click and 42% for a converted listener. That's anybody who actually listened to the music after clicking. I think it's kind of unfair because this penalizes a good song. A good song might get, the most playlist ads and the most saves, and Spotify should reward you for connecting good music to their customers. So they should feel comfortable opening your ad up to more listeners. But what I see happening is when a Marquee song performed well, the campaign ends quickly because the cost per clicks was eating up the budget. And I think that's unfair. I think it should be more impressions based or something that rewards you for having a good song. On to the next metric, conversion rate. This means they stream the release after seeing the Marquee ad. And the range is 10% to 40%, and you should probably be in the range of 25%. The next metric is converted listeners, and this is how much it costs to get somebody to stream the song after seeing the ad. And interestingly, this was the only metric that stayed consistent across all the ads I looked at. They were all 42% to convert a listener. So this is the true cost of the program. Now, if you've done any advertising for Spotify in the past, whether it's on the platform or on social media ads, a lot of this probably you've seen before. But these are the things that we can't easily get from a Facebook or an Instagram or a YouTube ad, like streams per listener, saves, the save rate, playlist ads, and the playlist ad rate. And this was unique to the program. And I thought they were pretty good, so I highlighted some of them in green. For streams per listener, it was between 3 and 6, an average of 4.5. I did see one that got like 35 streams per listener, so you can do better than this. Now saves, there was 180 to 300. That's based on a $250 spend, and that comes to $1.35 per save. So you can expect in the $2.40 range on average. And then the save rate is a 15 to 35% save rate, on average 25%, which is pretty good. And then playlist ads, between 100 and 200 playlist ads, an average of 130. That's also based on a $250 spend, and that's $1.92 per ad. And getting on playlists isn't easy, so this is an important one, 130 playlists. And although so far, after 2 weeks, the campaign, they've streamed 4.5 times on average, if they have it in their playlist, chances are they're going to listen to it for years to come, and you're going to get a lot more streams from it. So that has value. And then the playlist ad rate, 8% to 21%, on average 12% playlist ads. Now, I know this doesn't clearly show return on investment, but we do know that when a user on Spotify saves or adds your song to a playlist, it's going to trigger all of the organic algorithms. So the next time you release a track, the users are probably going to see it in the recommendation features within Spotify. So you do have that chance to make a return on your investment. Now, let's say you have 20,000 people listening to your music in the last 28 days. That's your monthly listeners. And you want to get your new song in front of them. Based on the numbers I'm seeing, to reach 20,000 listeners, you're going to need to spend $8,000 on Marquee. That's about 40 cents a stream. It's an insane amount of money considering the revenue a stream generates for rights holders, about 0.0042 per stream. But they won't let you reach all 20,000 anyway, because they're trying to protect their subscriber base. They're not going to let you reach everybody that you want to because they risk killing their user experience. But this is the math behind Marquee. There are some reasons to do them, and I mentioned those in last week's video. It comes down to demand. Remember, Spotify's always had their free tier, which is supported by advertisers, and they've been willing to pay the high advertising costs. And now you've got podcasts on Spotify too, and advertisers are paying for those ads. Marquee was a program geared for musicians and labels and their teams. So I think we were all hoping that Spotify would charge the musicians less than the insurance companies or cosmetic companies. After all, musicians and their fans are the lifeblood of the service. 90% of Spotify's profits come from the users, from their subscription fees. Only 10% come from advertising. So shouldn't musicians get a discount over corporate advertisers? I also think the program was created because of Wall Street investor pressure. I don't think Marquee is a wholehearted effort to let musicians remarket to their audiences. But they went ahead with it, and it's one more thing that they can say they're doing for musicians that Apple and other DSPs aren't. Why aren't other music services doing programs like Marquee? I haven't heard anybody talking about this. Let's stop and understand Spotify's history with advertising. I mentioned this before, but Spotify came from the advertising model. Monthly subscription revenue overtook ad revenue about 10 years ago. 80% of Spotify's revenue now comes from subscriptions. So Wall Street wants them to increase their ad revenue. It's my opinion that Spotify has resisted putting more ads on their platform because they didn't want to spoil the user experience. 45% of their users paid for premium so they could stop seeing ads. But nothing in my research explained why they're charging musicians $115 per 1,000 impressions. I'm not even hearing any pressure from Wall Street anymore. So if there's any Spotify execs or Wall Street analysts listening, please charge a lower price for Marquee for musicians that create your content. From what I'm reading in the earnings reports and hearing on the conference calls, Spotify and their shareholders have turned their advertising attention to podcasts. You can search the transcripts from the past 4 quarterly investor earnings calls, and you can see podcast and advertising are frequent topics. And podcasts started as a free ad-supported medium, so I think listeners of podcasts have more tolerance for ads than music listeners. So put your advertising focus there, Spotify, and give musicians some preferential treatment and some lower priced ads. And if you want to check out that other video I mentioned, you can check it out here. Take care.